Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And folks, welcome to episode 338 of Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, welcoming you once again to my weekly show where I talk about all sorts of things politics. Tonight, the title of the show is The Death of Journalism and the Debate. Of course, yes, we have to talk about tonight's debate, but I also want to talk about the death of honest journalism. So let's start with the debate. And yes, the debate. I'm sure many of you were watching, although I know my wife couldn't bear to watch. She was so worried about it and a little upset about the way that the first presidential candidate debate went, especially with the bias on the part of Lester Holt. So let's start, before we talk about any bias on the part of the moderator. Let's talk about the two candidates themselves. And I think my own feeling was that Tim Kaine showed his true Alinsky colors. I'm sure that this was planned. He was rude. He was boorish. He was interrupting. He basically was trying to muzzle Mike Pence. He almost didn't let him say anything without interruption. Somebody did a count and said that Tim Kaine had interrupted at least 39 times against Mike Pence interrupting about 19 times. I have to say that Tim Kaine's interruptions were a lot more boorish than Mike Pence's, so Mike Pence may have tried to interrupt, but he was always very gentlemanly about it, and a lot of the time just let Tim Kaine rant on, whereas Tim Kaine really was inserting himself into Mike Pence's discussion. I put down in my notes, and I know it sounds very hard, but it sort of reminds me of the tactics of Hitler's brown shirts and the way they shut down discussions about opposing ideas in the 1930s. I mean, at the end of the line, that's what Tim Kaine was trying to do. I think Mike Pence did a good job. There were some comments from some of the pundits in the time between the end of the debate and starting the show. They felt that he might not have defended Trump enough. A lot of what Tim Kaine was saying, to me, has been stuff that basically they've been taken out of context. And we can see this when I talk about the death of the honest journalism. You'll see some more examples, how the left are using things that might have been said, but also even taking a small part of that and just extracting a small part, saying, see, he said this. And that's not really what Trump said. Trump may have used those words in conjunction with other things. And again, he's not a politician. That's what many of us like about him. And so he doesn't measure every single word. People say, yeah, but words matter. Yeah, but they matter, but taken in the overall thing. You can't just say, you could, you just take half a sentence and say, oh, well, he said that. Yeah, but what was the rest of the sentence? And I think that's where this death of journalism, this is where the left are really trying to twist things. And so a lot of the time what Tim Kaine was claiming that Donald Trump had said, he probably used those words, but not in the way that he was presenting. And we'll see some examples of that. I mean, to come back to the debate, and I hope Donald Trump stops talking about this whole Miss Universe thing, but I do want to play, it's up to his surrogates to fight that battle, and I'll be one of those surrogates. And I want to play you something that I found very interesting when you think about what Hillary said about him. It gets me riled that they're able to twist words that way. So, in general, the pundits were saying, yep, Pence probably won this debate, but basically whether he won it or lost it is of little import. If he'd have lost it, that would have been even worse for Trump. But the fact that he's won it is very little importance. Firstly, the VP debate usually does not have much of an effect on voter decisions anyway, right? So it's an interesting thing, interesting to see that, who proved themselves the best to be a heartbeat away from the presidency. Well, I think hands down that was Mike Pence. Tim Kaine looked wild. He looked uncomfortable. He was, like I said, he was rude. He was boorish. He was just, no. I mean, he was not presidential at all. So, and maybe that was the intent. He's the attack dog and he wanted to attack tonight. But he didn't do himself any favors that way, because I think there will be some undecided who look at that and say, but do we want that guy in the White House if something were to happen to Hillary? And looking at all the rumors about her health, that might be something that's a lot more critical if she gets elected. You have to look closer at her running mate than at Trump's running mate, because, But anyway, secondly, even if Pence had a stellar debate, which I think he did, the biased LSM will twist everything to extract or invent negative issues from his performance. And as I said, we've seen that with Trump, anything he said over the last few days, but especially a lot of the things from the debate have been extracted, twisted, turned around, just unbelievable. So one of the things, and I'm going to go to that right now, I want to, before I start talking about the death of journalism, let me just do one thing, because we heard, you may remember in last week's debate in the president, Hillary was talking about the fact that he'd called a Miss Universe Miss Piggy, and other names. And this woman also came on and was saying, oh, what a horrible guy Trump was. But, I found this video from around that time when Trump was actually supporting her. And it was in a gym, and they had a press conference, and he was talking about the situation. I mean, one thing you have to remember, maybe he did call her Miss Piggy, but she did put on a lot of weight, and he explains that why, and in this particular video, and you'll hear it in the audio. So I'm going to play this audio because I think, like I said, I want to be a surrogate. I want to defend that. And I just want to show you that the left are very good extracting a couple of words, said, oh, he called her Miss Piggy, he called her this, he called her that. But what did he really do for her? What did he actually do for her? That comes out in this particular soundbite that I'm going to play for you. So, folks, have a quick listen.
Do you work out?
I work out on occasion.
You do?
As little as possible. I work out as much as Penny works out, which isn't much. No, I work out playing sports. I like sports. And this stuff is terrific. But I like golf. I like tennis.
When do you want, you come here with me.
I'll work out with
workout.
her. I'll work
Okay?
out with her anytime she wants. I'll tell you.
Okay.
What is your advice to Alicia?
Well, I don't think Alicia needs much advice. I will say that last year, before I owned the Miss Universe contest, I went to the Miss Universe contest last year. It was in Las Vegas. And I felt that Alicia was one of the most beautiful women I'd ever seen. It was incredible. And all of the folks that were here agreed with that. Alicia is like me and like a lot of other people. I love to eat. We all love to eat. Not all of us. Some of you are lucky. But we eat. We like to eat. And she had tremendous pressure put on her with the win and everything else. Plus, she was going from country to country, all foreign places. And there was a huge amount of pressure. And some people, when they have pressure, don't eat. And some people, when they have pressure, eat too much, like me, but like Alicia. And what she's going to do now is she's got one of the great trainers of the world and a very, very famous man in his own right. And he's been working with her for the last few days. And I think she's going to show up at that contest actually being probably a little bit heavier than when she won it.
A little heavier.
But you think that's actually better. When she won it, she weighed about 118 pounds.
Too light for her.
And actually, from what I understand, a little bit heavier. But I will say, when she won the contest, I had never seen anybody more beautiful. And she's totally beautiful now. But I think come contest time, what are you talking about in terms of weight?
Our goal is to get her between 125 and 130. She will look 118 to you and to the camera, 118. So we want to keep that soft, feminine look. We don't want to have these short, bulgy muscles. Keep her away from the heavy weights. We want to be feminine and soft. When she walks down to hand over that crown, she is going to look her best.
Did you ever really consider letting her go?
Well, I tell you, there was a group that wanted us to do that very much, and I have to credit CBS also because they are my partner. I bought the contest, the Miss Universe, Miss USA contest, and then CBS joined me as my partner. I mean, more than just 5 years of broadcast rights, they actually are 50-50 partners now, and they were with me 100%. We really agreed on it together. And one of the reasons is that, you know, you have a lot of people that have problems with weight, eating disorders, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people. I mean, I'm looking at a lot of you reporters, and I can't believe how many showed up. But a lot of you folks have weight problems. I hate to tell you. That doesn't include you. That doesn't include you. But a lot of you folks that I'm looking at right now aren't in the greatest of shape. And the truth is, and I'm not meaning that you're too skinny, although you're pretty skinny. The fact is that this is a universal problem.
So, of course, Donald in that clip was insulting the press. They didn't seem to worry about it at the time. But for me, what was key there, he said she was very beautiful. He explained why she'd put on the weight. And remember the question from one of the journalists there, whether Donald Trump had at any time thought of firing her. And got to remember, this is a beauty queen, right, who has a job, and part of her job is to look beautiful and probably to stay looking a little bit like she was when she won the crown. So by putting on a lot of weight, that's going against the conditions of her job. That was part of the job. So, but here you hear that he wasn't being rude about her. He was being very nice to her. He protected her job. He said no, he didn't. He wanted to give her another chance. And he explained why, because, and he said as well, this is a problem for many people, not just for her. So, interesting again. So he was, if you listen to that clip, to me, he was being very nice to her. Okay, yes, he was helping her to slim down. She had put on too much weight, but that was a job-related thing. That's nothing. And so, you know, yeah, okay, maybe he did at one point call her Miss Piggy, but she had got fat. I mean, but they pick, probably one occurrence that he called her that. But actually, you hear it here. But he also protected her job. He was very nice to her. Now she's come back, and of course now she's supporting Hillary, so she didn't have anything nice to say. But it's audio like that to me shows that there's also a very different side to the story. I want to say hi to Rex in the chat room. Anybody else who's listening to the live show, please do join us in the chat room. Click on the little speech button in your Spreaker dialog box there, and that'll take you to the chat room. And I will have an opportunity to type some things in the chat room because for the next couple of minutes, it's time for a commercial.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
You're listening to Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patriotcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Okay, so let's get to kind of the main topic of tonight. I know the debate is important, and there'll be lots of other pundits discussing it. But I wanted to bring up the death of honest journalism. Especially over the last 2 weeks, we've seen that the lamestream media basically have thrown off their masks and put their support full steam for Hillier. Now, we always knew that the media was biased, but over the last couple of weeks, they have really ratcheted it up and given up any pretense of being unbiased. Now, if we look back in history, we always know that from the birth of this nation onwards, and maybe around those early years of the nation, there were very vitriolic discussions in the press from one side to another. But I think the important thing in that time was that the press, which was primarily the written press in those days, was, in a sense, balanced. There were people on one side of the fence, there were people on the other, and the vitriol went backwards and forwards. Today, 99% of the media is in the tank for the liberals. This is going to make it very, very difficult for Republicans, conservatives going forward, because it's only going to get worse. And to a certain extent, I think we can see that a lot of the losses in terms of the polling that's showing up for Donald is due just to this constant onslaught of negative things about Trump. Even Fox News, there are a number of commentators, a number of reporters on Fox News who very obviously don't like Donald Trump either. The Bushes, right? Let's look at the Republicans. The Bushes, people like that, just don't like Donald Trump, and they go on and on and on about every this, that, the other. You never hear the good things, right? The couple that had their mortgage paid, the good deeds, all the jobs that he generated, all stuff like that is swept away in this torrent, in this tsunami of negativity that because the media and the regressives are all just have one huge thing on their mind, and that is to get rid of Donald Trump. Now, I understand they want the power, but to do it in such a low and despicable way really makes me sad for this country. Now, of course, after the debate, Trump didn't really help himself much by reacting to Hillary's comments about Miss Universe by having a Twitter tirade that night and trying to defend himself. And if he has one big fault, I think it's that. A lot of the time he's trying to defend himself. He should just say, hey, if all you can come up with is a couple of things I said, 20 years ago, so be it. And let his surrogates start defending him, which they have been doing on the Sunday shows. For example, they were talking about the New York Times releasing that tax information, and now the regressives are saying, and Tim Kaine was trying to make that case. Well, he doesn't support the military because he didn't pay taxes. No, he didn't pay taxes because that's of the stupid tax code, which he. They want to change the tax code, but he availed himself of it. Does that mean he's not supporting the military because he didn't pay taxes? No, he paid a lot of taxes over the years, but he also had losses. He invested his money, he used his money, and he had to fight back when the law. And one of the reasons, because Hillary says, oh, well, he can't be such a genius because he lost $1 billion. Well, one of the reasons that he lost $1 billion was because the elites in Washington, D.C. changed the law that made it very much less advantageous for people to invest in the kind of investments that Donald Trump was building, and they withdrew their money. And yes, so that's why he lost a lot of money, because people were withdrawing their money from investments. Now, he able to fight back was because the fact that in the subsequent years, yes, he was paying a lot less tax because he was writing off his losses from earlier. But that's been a kind of a cardinal thing of the American tax system to encourage entrepreneurship. That if you lose money, then you can deduct that from your taxes in future years. That makes sense. I mean, if you're going to tax someone's income, you should also be able to offset any losses you have, especially when it's involving. But we're kind of defending him on that, and thank goodness he didn't spend a lot of time on that tax thing. But again, the left come back and they find all sorts of things. So first of all, big question mark whether or not the publishing of that information by the New York Times was legal. Some people say, well, federal, the freedom of the press, and they can publish anything, and if you take to the Supreme Court, they would probably lose, perhaps. But there is also a statute in New York that says you cannot publish tax information without permission of the person involved. Now, the Attorney General of the state of New York has been attacking Donald Trump because supposedly his charitable foundation is not correctly registered, and so they have to stop collecting money. Are they going to look into the New York Times? Don't hold your breath, folks. Of course they're not going to do that. But it just, again, it shows you how how the bias is being is twisted, and also it comes out as a huge negative thing. This is another example of the mainstream, the lamestream media twisting everything in such a way. They say, okay, huge problems for Donald Trump because he didn't pay any taxes. But what he did was 100% legal. And actually, the way it was phrased, he could have not paid taxes. Now, so we don't know, because of the audit, we don't know what he did and did not pay, but who cares, right? What's important, whether he did what he did legally, and right, of tax avoidance, avoiding tax legally, there's nothing wrong with that. You and I do it. And I actually put a comment on Facebook because someone was saying, well, maybe he should pay more than he wanted. Well, it turns out last year I paid more than I needed because all of a sudden, a couple of months ago, I got a letter from the IRS saying, thank you very much for your for what you paid us for your taxes, but upon reflection, we looked at your numbers and actually you paid us too much, so here's money back. So strictly speaking, the left can say, oh, well, he's paid more taxes than he needed to, but technically if the IRS was aware of his losses, then they should actually make the adjustment and send the money back to him as well. So you can't even pay more to the IRS if you want to. Now, I'm sure you can write out a check to the Treasury and just say, here's a donation to the government, right? But if you do it through the IRS, technically they are legally required to look and check whether or not what you've paid is correct, and if not, send you the difference back if you've paid too much. So all this BS from the left, not paying, in theory, you can't pay more than you should. So they're just trying to again, find things, make it look negative, and Tim Kaine was riding that bandwagon today, and I think through his loud and boorish thing, it's just it's not going to work. Plus, I think the other one, of course, is, and I've already been things out on the internet about this. Hillary saying, "Oh well, he can't be a genius. He lost almost $1 billion." What about the $6 billion, Hillary? So she's opened a huge can of worms there. Again, unfortunately, the lamestream media is not going to run with it, but hopefully you'll listen to shows like this, other shows on, for example, on the Red Nation Rising network, some of the other networks that you can find on my page at www.patrickcomelately.us. Go to the syndication page, a number of other networks like the 405 Media, Streaming Talk Radio, some of the terrestrial stations that also carry my show. Listen to those shows because that's where you're going to get the truth. You're not going to get it from the lamestream media. So let's see, what else have we got here? Okay, so another occasion where the media was distorting something, and that was this whole thing about his speech in front of the veterans talking about PTSD, right? And they made this big thing, oh, the veterans are so angry about the fact that he called some of them weak. Well, he did say that some people are strong and are not affected about what they've seen and what happens to them in combat. But a lot of people are not now. So I guess if you're not strong, you could say it's weak. But how does the actual vet who asked the question that got this reply, how does he feel? Because if anybody should be hurt, then he should be hurt right now. So he asked the question of Trump, and he is actually a vet who is diagnosed with PTSD. Here's what he said. He said, "I think it's sickening that anyone would twist Mr. Trump's comments to me in order to pursue a political agenda. I took his comments to be thoughtful and understanding of the struggles many veterans have, and I believe he is committed to helping them. The nature of my question focused on a broken system that's failing so many of our veterans, and as president, would Mr. Trump take a more holistic approach to health care for veterans?" That's what his question was. He goes on to say, "I interpreted his answer to affirm that the system is broken and that he would take necessary steps to address it. After 8 combat tours in Afghanistan, I came home and was diagnosed with PTSD, and I struggled with it. Since my own recovery, I've been privileged to help over 1,100 veterans who have graduated from our program, none of whom have committed suicide since graduating. It's a very important issue to me, which is why I was thankful for the opportunity to ask Mr. Trump about it directly." So he's not hurt. Other vets, Scott Brown, Pete Hegseth on Fox News Channel, also said, "No, we think this is the right thing." He is bringing this issue forward. 22, on average, 22 vets are committing suicide a day, and primarily because of PTSD. Folks, and yet Hillary said the VA is fine, we're not going to change it. And we know how she thinks of the military. She'll probably completely gut the VA and give them no support at all. So, unfortunately, what Trump said is right. There are some people who are able to go through the horrors of war and not come out that much changed. There are others who do get changed by it, and we need to help them and not ignore them and not talk about it, because that's even worse. Okay, folks, I see it's time for the next commercial break, or actually I'm a bit late on that. Let's break, and I will be back shortly.
Patriot come lately. British by birth, American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
This is Stefan, your Patriot come lately, proud to be on Red Nation Rising Radio. These can be dark and depressing times, but Main Street USA finally has a competitive voice to traditional mainstream media outlets, and it's screaming at all hours, 24/7, we want our country back. America, it's time to wake up, expose the regressives, and keep listening to the new dominant force in conservative internet talk radio, the Red Nation Rising Radio Network, powered by ICRN.
Not too long ago, it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank, didn't it? For a vacation or a new car. But today, withdrawing your own cash has become risky. Pat Boone here for Swiss America. According to The Secret War, a new Swiss America white paper, I learned that all banks are now required to spy on you and me for the government, and then report any financial behavior deemed suspicious or unusual. You must read The Secret War. It's free. Truth is, I believe the government's new war against cash is really a war against us all. But the secret is now out. So please, get and read The Secret War.
Call 800-516-3405, 800-516-3405, 800-516-3405. Call right now. That number again is 800-516-3405.
You're listening to Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patriotcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Okay, folks, halfway through the show, we're talking about the death of journalism. Here's a little another little audio clip that I think will be quite interesting. It's a CNN reporter talking to some Trump supporters, and in this case, he's talking to a black Trump supporter. So here we go. In a moment.
What do you think about the fact that white supremacists support Trump?
It doesn't matter. That's the right to free speech. I'm sick of this race and divide, and CNN is perfect at doing that. It's always divide and conquer. People have the right to choose whatever they want. What the hell does that got to do with Donald Trump? He's not a racist. I'm sick of that. It's a scam, and I know it's not going to get on CNN. We're sick of you media.
What do you think about what he just said? That maybe not a fair Is it a fair question to ask? That was your question.
Trump is not a racist. Again, it's the media who give us those perceptions. You see, because the Democratic Party, they always control the black people. It's a plantation. As long as they're on the mammary gland of America, sucking, getting their food stamps, getting their welfare, and they're not dreaming for the stars. They're not, and society is killing that dream. They're killing that dream by this globalism. Hell with globalism. Because globalism takes away America's wealth.
Do Black Panthers support Obama? CNN. Do Black Panthers support Obama?
Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Do Black Panthers support Obama, sir? Sir. Do Black Panthers support Obama?
So there we are. And if you didn't hear it at the very beginning, the reporter asked the question, this black Trump supporter, are you concerned about the fact that white supremacists have said they support Donald Trump? And the guy rightly said, what does that matter? This is a free country. If they want to say that, that doesn't make Donald Trump a racist. And that's quite true. But again, it's just the liberal media trying to tie Donald Trump to these groups who a lot of the time are very despicable, and nobody would want them want to support them. And I'm sure Donald Trump doesn't really want their support, but he can't stop them from supporting. And he's called them out. There's the whole David Duke thing that happened when he realized who David Duke was. Then of course he repudiated him, but he was supposed to do it as soon as he heard the name. Well, he didn't. Did he really worry about it? He's not a politician. He doesn't know everybody that's good and bad, at least according to the way the way the media want us to do. So I mean, just another example there of things. Just the way the media is just absolutely off the rails. So finally. Another article on the internet also talking about the final demise of the lamestream media, and they said one of the last vestiges of liberal media's pretense to authority is its legion of fact checkers. right? Like PolitiFact, Washington Post, Snopes, and things like that. But in fact, as those who pay attention have long known, fact-checking in pretty much all cases is just liberal activism under another name. So Rasmussen has been doing a survey on that, and they found that just 29% of all likely US voters trust media fact-checking. 29%. That's, that, at least America seems to be slightly awake there. I mean, that's the good news, right? So 62% believe instead that the news organizations skew the facts to help the candidates that they support. 88% of voters supporting Trump believe that news organizations skew the facts, while most Clinton backers, 59%, trust the media fact-checking. Of course, because the media fact-checkers are liberals, are regressives, and they're kind of confirming what those people want to think. Amongst the fringe people, right, Gary Johnson and Jill Stein supporters, also sizable majorities don't trust the media fact-checking. So, once upon the article goes on to say, a college friend of mine once said, objective is what I think, subjective is what you think, which is a very regressive, a very liberal way of looking things. So, fact checkers, people don't trust you anymore. Media, people don't trust you anymore. Congress, people don't trust you anymore. Folks, it is time for a change. And as Rex is saying in the chat room, Dems can't run on any real issues, only pretend ones. Exactly right. Okay, let's go to the final commercial break, and I'll be right back.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more on your federal or state income taxes, I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. The IRS, with their Fresh Start initiative, is offering more flexible terms to Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. They can help you lift your wage garnishments, stop bank levies, and put your tax problem behind you once and for all. If you owe tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS or state, our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, we can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your debt for far less than what you owe. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110.
The offer of a franchise can only be made through delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Imagine yourself being a leader in America's fastest growing demographic category. More than 10,000 people a day turn 65, and a large percentage are going to need a helping hand at home or in choosing the right assisted living community. Always Best Care is looking for people who've excelled at everything they've done, but they're seeking a new challenge. Always Best Care is one of the fastest growing companies in this explosive field. We're looking for 25 new franchisees to keep our booming business growing. We'll back you up with the strongest award-winning marketing program in the industry, and we'll provide the special training and support that's fueled our growth to prepare you for this great opportunity. All that's missing is you. Call Always Best Care toll-free at 1-800-643-7508. That's 1-800-643-7508. For Always Best Care, 1-800-643-7508. Call today.
You're listening to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patrickcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Okay, let's change direction a little bit. I've got another audio for you, which I hope you will find interesting. So have a listen to this.
We do not want to do anything to encourage more illegal immigration into this country.
We have to stop the inflow of illegals coming into our country.
Mexican government's policies are
pushing migration north.
The Mexican government is much smarter, much sharper, much more cunning, and they send the bad ones over because they don't want to pay for them. They don't want to take care of them.
Look, I voted numerous times when I was a senator to spend money to build a barrier to try to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in.
We will build a wall. It will do what it's supposed to do. Keep illegal immigrants out.
If they've committed transgressions of whatever kind, they should be obviously deported.
And some of these people are causing tremendous problems. All you have to do is look at the crime wave. If I'm elected, they're going to be out of there day one.
I voted for border security, and some of it was a fence. I don't think we ever called it a wall. Maybe in some places it was a wall.
We're going to have a border. It's going to be a real border.
Secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary. We need to have tougher employer sanctions.
We have a country. We have to have borders. We have borders. We have to have laws. We either have a country or we don't.
So, folks, that, if you didn't realize, that was Hillary Clinton sounding very much like Donald Trump. These are all clips from things that she said over the last few years, not even so very long ago. Some of those are less than a year and a half old. So not that many differences between them after all. But you wouldn't believe it from the way that Tim Kaine was going on tonight. Let me just run one other quick audio as well. I think you might like this one as well.
Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
Diversity and opportunity.
Lewis, freedom and freedom. So let's keep it that way.
Oops, that's an intro. Actually, it's a teaser for a much longer one that I have to hold over for next week. But this is a very interesting one. You may have heard this. I think it's done some rounds around the internet. But yeah, do come back next week, and I will play that. And I think you'll find that pretty interesting. So, folks, we're getting close to the end of the show. I had some other topics that I wanted to handle, haven't got round to, but I'll squeeze one quick one in, and rather than handling the whole topic, but going back to the Clinton emails, basically, Comey a few weeks ago said that what Hillary Clinton did was a mistake. So she shouldn't be prosecuted for it. But now we find out that 5 people have been given immunity, and Jason Chaffetz basically said, if the Clinton emails were only a mistake, why are so many people getting immunity? Because that would indicate that there's more to the emails than just a mistake. Exactly right. Exactly right. And of course, he was talking about the fact as well that Cheryl Mills got immunity, but she was also acting as Hillary's lawyer in the interview. The fact that the FBI had actually seized computers and thumb drives from her law office, and then suddenly she gets an immunity deal to give the computer and the thumb drives to the FBI. They'd already been seized. Why did she have to have an immunity deal? So, I mean, just unbelievable. And the other thing then, on top of all of that, we now hear that the Department of Injustice, or the FBI, one of the two, authorized the destruction of said laptops after they had been, after Cheryl Mills had been given immunity to, and that was basically immunity to give the laptop to the FBI and let them look at it and not be prosecuted for anything on the laptop. But after that, someone at the Department of Justice or the FBI authorized the destruction of those laptops. The laptops involved in the investigation. Now you sort of say, well, why not? That seems fairly logical. Think about it, though. Those laptops were still subject to a congressional subpoena asking for the information that was on those laptops. The same as whoever it was, one of the two, Brian Pagliano or the other guy, that used BleachBit to wipe the server clean after the congressional subpoena had been issued. After the subpoena had been issued, the DOI, the Department of Justice, or the FBI also, they did the same thing. They authorized the destruction of the laptops while they were under a congressional subpoena. Folks, we can't even trust our executive to carry out the laws, because that's what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to make the laws. They're not supposed to take decisions on the laws. They're supposed to execute the laws. That's the executive branch. That's the way the founders set it up. And they didn't do that. They broke the law by not retaining that information for the congressional subpoena. This is one of the things that I look at that and say, this is something that should be screamed from the rooftops as well. I mean, this is the executive branch basically deciding to do whatever they want, irrespective of what the law is. They are making the laws by doing whatever they want, but it's not their part. Their part is to execute the laws. That's why they're called the executive. So, folks, is it going to get better? I sincerely hope that the polls are wrong, because otherwise we're just going to have more of this crap. Keep your fingers crossed that Donald Trump has a good debate in the next debate, because this country is teetering on the abyss, and I'm just, getting more and more despondent that there are too many stupid people out there, and we are going to lose this country. We are going to lose this great country. But I will do what I can, and I know my fellow hosts on the various networks are doing what we can to educate you all. Please keep listening. Come back next week. I'll have more information for you. And maybe before the election, actually in 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to try and have a surprise for you. I haven't done this in a long while. We're going to try and have a guest on the show. So, folks, I see it's almost time to say TTFN, ta-ta for now. And as I said before, please come back next week. Have a safe week, folks. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.